check those out. By the way, people, Jason has Madden at 23. He's never opening it.
Hell no, I'm not opening it. It's a collector's item. Got
Why?
John Madden
John
on the
Madden
cover.
on the cover, baby.
So I tell you what, get your copies, get your new copies, because I tell you what, once it's gone, it's probably not going to be another Madden cover.
So what's the juice cleanse consist of? If I want to...
Like cayenne pepper and lemonade.
Say I binged Sunday night on food, like shit.
Just Monday morning. You can start that even like that night, you know, or that like right after, and then follow it into Monday.
So, okay, just a little, explain to me again, so the audience knows exactly what a good 3-day cleanse is to get back into.
It's basically, yeah, you know, you're getting all that bad food and stuff like that out of your body. You know, like if you kind of ate badly or you just feel that, you know, you're bloated or whatever, you just use that, you know, and I think it's like a cheaper X-Lax because it doesn't cost anything to go get some lemonade. Low calorie.
Have you ever done the X-Lax? Yeah,
no, I have.
How
is it?
I mean, if you get the one that doesn't make you wake up at 3 a.m. and be like, oh,
yeah,
it's quite nice. No, but it's not healthy for you, obviously. But if you do like natural cleanse and just kind of get some
hydration going through you,
yeah, and the nutrients your body needs, you know.
Because the thing is, when you're shitting like that, dude, you lose a lot of water and electrolytes.
I mean, those are some
important ingredients that your body needs.
Yeah, but it's if you've never done like a proper juice cleanse, you know, it's hard for some people to stick to it because they just want to get back to that cake or mashed potatoes or whatever. Yeah. But it's for me, it's 3 days, and you're like, holy shit, my skin looks better, everything.
Yeah, I had a friend of mine. She did hers for 2 weeks. I'm like, that's too long. That's way too long.
Did it have any adverse effects? I mean, after a while, you got to get other shit into your body, right?
Well, and that was the thing. It was like she wasn't getting any nutrients, so she was a little bit cranky, and she was like hungry and tired and everything. And I told her, I was like, well, you've done it for too long. Like 7 days is the max that you should do a cleanse like that.
Yeah, and then get back to a structured diet.
Yeah,
if you're trying to get healthy or whatever your goal is. I mean, you see a lot of people, like fighters, for instance, cut weight.
And they use those IVs to piss out water and shit. And Dana White does not, the UFC, he does not allow that anymore.
Good.
Yeah, because it's dangerous. Man.
There's no reason a fighter shouldn't be able to cut weight. Yeah, and then if it's fair for both parties.
Well, you know, and the thing is that I think they're monitoring the weight cuts these days too. Because I remember when Sam was doing his weight cuts,
Sam Hoger.
Yeah, Sam Hoger. He was even saying, you know, sometimes like he would lose, like the weight that he would lose. I'm like, oh. And I remember one time, this was, I think he had like this little challenge going on because he was trying to lose weight because he was like at 300 pounds at one point. And somebody was betting him like, okay, if you lose this amount of weight at this certain time, I'll give you, you know, $2,000 or $3,000. And he did it. And I mean, all he was doing was eating tuna with hot sauce and going to Memorial Park and running. I mean, Sam, you talk about dedication. That's why this man will always have my undying respect. Because, I mean, he did that, but it's not safe. It's not healthy.
It's not healthy or safe. But
and his mother's a nurse, and she was like, Sam, is the money really worth jeopardizing your health?
He knows his body, though. So
yeah.
I have to have that.
That's faith in him.
Yeah, exactly. Because, you know when you need some sugar or but you know if you could do without it because you have a lot of stored energy.
Yeah, and Sam had a lot of fat on him too. So
and everyone has some fat on them sometimes, but people don't know how to react when they see someone on that type of diet. Sometimes it's a little extreme, but sometimes it's a normal way to get back into your diet.
Yeah, and for him, it was just another day at the office. But the thing is like when I was rolling with him, he was still, because I remember, I think
he's talking about jujitsu, not drugs, people.
Yeah. And I remember when I was doing jujitsu with him, I could smell his breath and like the gum and the tuna and everything. So he had tuna breath.
That's just, dude, my friend used to do that. Oh man.
Yeah.
Used to wrestle and shit.
But he was still heavy and strong too. That was the thing, because he was just very dense.
He was a tall dude. He's a tall dude.
He's a tall guy, so he can carry, that weight.
Big head.
Yeah,
like that's a good jaw on him.
And that was the thing. I used to tease him all the time, call him Jay Leno, because he had a chin.
That's a compliment, though.
Yeah, but the thing is, when he lost that weight, it was like he looked like a little bobblehead.
Yeah, that's the thing. Especially when people are used to seeing you at it. Like it's the Jonah Hill effect.
Yeah.
And I don't know. Jonah Hill always complains about people commenting on his weight, but at the same time, he hasn't lost weight in a way where it's like, okay, he looks great now.
Yeah, it's like always like he looks sick.
Yeah, and I think we talked about this before. You didn't put any muscle on. You just look like a smaller version of you.
Yeah, and it's like big ass head and little body.
So when you see like even celebrities or because it's not just UFC fighters or boxing, you got to think it's in like other sports too. Like
I remember there was one guy, James Thompson, and he fought Anderson Silva, and he's naturally like a 205er. And then when he did that, he cut weight for 185. You could see like his like the bones sticking out of his face. He's like a blowfish, and duck lips and stuff like that.
Vanilla Ice face.
Yeah, and he had this like you can tell it's like he's kind of looking emaciated. And it was probably a hard cut for him because it's not his natural weight.
I would imagine so. Jesus Christ! I mean, somebody that has to cut weight, especially when you're a bigger dude, it's hard. But the advantage is that they can kind of put it right back on before the fight. No.
Yeah. What they do is they have to weigh in at a certain weight. So say like if the heavyweight division is like 220 and above, so if the limit is 265. So what they do is they work to get to that whatever weight they're going to fight at, and then once they weigh in, they just drink water and like they put that weight back on.
Dude, so when you were a pitcher for the Texas Rangers before they moved into their new stadium, I mean, it was so hot. How much weight do you think a pitcher would lose, even now when they're pitching outside in this heat?
I'd say at least 5 to 10 pounds.
At least Jesus.
Just in water weight, because I mean you're sweating so much.
I don't know how they allowed these teams to have stadiums
open air
in the summertime.
Well, and that's probably why a lot of pitchers didn't want to come to Texas
or free agents in general.
Yeah, and because it was so damn hot.
Same thing could be said for a city that's cold. For the NFL, it's like Green Bay is straight, but I mean, dude,
that frozen
Chicago,
tundra.
I don't know about that either.
Yeah, Soldier Field, and even Minnesota.
They got a nice stadium now.
Yeah, they have but it's an enclosed stadium, but
it's cold.
Yeah,
I've never been to Minnesota, but I heard it's a different type of cold.
Yeah, it is, man. I mean, it's fucking cold, dude. I mean, because like the thing is, they're close to Canada.
Well, no shit, but
so you get those northerners coming in.
Isn't it there a lake that comes or the Chicago that gets the water from the cold wind from the?
But I think it's also Minnesota too. It's like a lake in Minnesota.
Well, I mean, if any sport you're playing, I don't think it would have that much of an effect on what city you go to if it's climate controlled. Because if it's cold, what if you're a baseball team going into the playoffs and your outdoor team, like the Cubs, are you going to start to get a cold streak? I mean,
New York too.
New York. Oh, shit, you're right.
Yeah, because I remember there's been plenty of times when I've seen New Yorkers, Boston too.
And playoffs have a different energy for baseball. And then when you add that cold onto it, you get all shaky just watching it.
That's why, like, when teams would go to play New England, I felt for them because, they're used to playing in that cold. Brady was excellent, but you could hardly see, like, if you needed a first down, you could hardly see the field because it was so much snow.
Yeah.
And I mean, Brady just, can play well in cold weather.
It's all timed with him. So he knows the steps probably the receiver's supposed to take, then he throws it. And then you would see the athletes on the sideline with those, like, it looked like an engine of a plane just heating them up.
Yeah. And then they got those big-ass jackets, those parkas and everything. So, yeah, I mean, phew.
But it is fun to watch at home, those type of games.
Yeah, because I sure as hell wouldn't want to be out there in Pittsburgh and New York and any place on the East Coast.
Yeah, I mean, I would love to see these stadiums in a good climate, maybe a little cold, not too cold, where a jacket's not enough. It's
maybe like a 50-degree weather thing.
Yeah, and then maybe it's the 4th, it starts to snow, but you're already on your way out of there.
But you never can get that lucky in a football game.
Oh no, you can't. Especially with that like East Coast teams, it's always a little more sludgy. I feel like, and
yeah, the Northeast teams, Southeast like Jacksonville or Tampa Bay, they don't have that problem.
It's just raining.
Yeah, it's just raining, or they'll get that cold wind, but it's not really something that where you just
Texas
like,
gets
get me out.
colder, right?
Yeah,
And
Austin can get cold because I remember
West Texas can get really cold. I don't
because
know
you got the
about
mountains,
snowing, but
and
yeah,
stuff like
but
that.
it's just dry too.
Yeah,
Houston, it'll sting you a little bit, but I mean, it still gets cold.
yeah. I remember that one Christmas we had the 100-degree Christmas, 2015.
Dude, I saw something on the local news. It was like the latest we've had a cold day was late October, and then I was like, "What's the fastest day we had a 90-degree day again?" The next day.
Yeah, and I remember when we had the 100-degree Christmas. The next day it was like 50. So,
Yeah, like whoever's controlling this climate, if there's a secret organization, they're like, "Hey guys, let's fix this one. It's 50-degree." I mean, I like it when it's a little chilly on a
yeah, like 50 degrees.
50 degrees, and then if it's 100 degrees here, you'll look on the weather. It's like Dallas is 60. You're like, what?
Yeah, I mean, and Austin gets hotter and colder than it does here in Houston, just because I mean they get the hills.
Well, right now Houston's pretty goddamn hot.
Yeah.
So going into the baseball playoffs, Astros kind of stumbling with their offense, or that's your fear right now.
Yeah, it is, and anybody who watches the games can even tell you just their offense looks stagnant. I mean, I remember those years 5 years ago where they were just destroying teams.
Difference is it the depth?
Well, that and just the players that we had. We had Springer, Correa, Altuve. Reddick was doing well. This is before he fell off, and I hate to say that, but we had a great lineup from like 1 through 9.
But you can say Springer's been replaced with Kyle Tucker. Jordan's been replaced with someone else.
Yeah, I mean, but the thing is, Jordan has been hurt, and I mean, the thing is, we've had injuries,
and also that was a different team.
Yeah,
they didn't rely on one guy. Everyone 1 through 8, even Uriel was better hitter back then.
Yeah, Yuli, and then Jake Marisnik. And okay, yeah, that was I guess what do you call that? Trash gate, whatever. But away, we had a better home record. We had a better away record than we did home record.
Okay, so
plus 2018, 2019.
Our pitching this year going to the playoffs
is great.
So we discussed it, but who do you think is it 3 or 4 man rotation in the playoffs?
It's a 4-man rotation. So they're going to have Verlander, Fromber, LMJ, Lance McCullers Jr., and possibly Luis Garcia with Christian Javier coming out of the bullpen.
Any of those guys injured at the moment?
Verlander has a calf injury, but it's not as serious as they thought. So
they say that, but then next thing you know, it's like Game 7. It's like Verlander's out with a calf injury. What?
Yeah, it flares up again.
Why don't you just go pitch? Like Schilling had a bloody sock.
Yeah,
Verlander's a legend. I'm just joking.
Yeah, but with this offense here, man,
is it Dusty the way he runs the offense?
The thing is, sometimes like he'll put Yuli in over like Trey Mancini. Let Trey Mancini play first because Yuli's useless this year, man. He's had some moments.
The only time he really gets a hit is when the infield has to play their positions because there's runners on the base.
Yeah. And, hey, maybe he should be batting cleanup, like in a 6 or 7 hole. But I wouldn't have him number 2. And, get Jeremy Pena in as number 2 because he was hitting better, behind Altuve.
And the problem having him number 2 is that when that lineup comes back around again, say you're at 2 outs, Altuve gets on base, and then it's Yuri. And then you're like, oh, shit.
Yeah, Yuli, yeah. It's like, and there was a lot of that with the Astros group that I'm in. We were all watching the game together and just like, oh, shit, here comes Yuli. And more often than not, guy was either popping up, striking out. He can't handle velocity anymore.
But in the playoffs, he does show up, in my opinion.
Yeah, he's gonna have some moments. But the thing is, one thing with Dusty is that he looks at these legacy guys, like guys who've been there, who have seniority and everything, like Martin Maldonado. Look, I love the guy. He's great defensively, but he can't hit for shit. And he's a liability on offense. You got Christian Vasquez, who I hope they keep, for the coming seasons. He's hitting like 282. He gets on base a lot.
Yeah.
He's hitting like 279, 280. The guy can hit. Yet, sometimes they don't play him a lot. Same with Mancini. Like, sometimes they don't play him a lot. Like, what are you getting these guys for if they're not going to play? He did develop like the hook shots,
but he needed his athleticism a little bit for that when he
and the strength too.
Yeah,
and I think at that time people weren't really afraid of him.
I just think he also knew what his role was because when he went to the Heat, he told Flash D Wade, "This is your team." So I think when someone like Shaq puts that in his mind, he will take even more of a relaxed approach sometimes.
Yeah, and he won a championship that first year in Miami.
Yeah, and he got the first 2K covers for NBA 2K. I remember those Heat red jerseys, and one was black. NBA 2K is officially getting released tonight.
Yeah. Let me see. Will I be getting it? Probably not. I haven't played a 2K game. I mean, it's not like
I don't like it.
It's not like I don't like them or hate them. It's just, I think for me, I'm kind of like gone over to MLB The Show, and that's my sports game for every year.
I need to check that one. FIFA's mine.
Yeah, and it's just with that, I enjoy watching it, but it's like, I can do it.
There's something about, for me, the NBA games that it's just not. It's too hard in the spots it doesn't need to be, and
also they had something. And sorry to interrupt, but they had something like where the shot mechanics.
It's even harder this year.
Yeah, and it's like,
why? It was hard last year.
Yeah, and at the beginning, it was very, very hard, and people had to complain about that. They had to fix it.
And this is the golden age of shooting in the NBA, so how does that make sense?
Yeah, so if you're playing with Steph Curry or Klay Thompson, you're going to be bricking a lot.
See,
and those guys are cheat codes in real life.
And it makes me think they haven't figured out gaming for basketball. I think it's just...
Well, I think they may have gotten too technical with it.
Yeah.
It's like, oh, you got the shot stick and this and that. I'm like, dude,
there's too many things.
Yeah.
It's X.
It's like you just release the ball at the peak of your jump.
And you when about to flick the wrist, but now it's just like you have to turn it off sometimes, but sometimes you can't. And depending on the game, and you're just like, oh.
Yeah,
FIFA is so simplistic. I hope they don't mess it up. I don't think it's the same developer. I think that's EA.
Yeah, well, EA did that, and I think EA lost a contract to FIFA.
No.
Yeah.
We'll see how that one turns out then. Because before there was what happened to NBA Live?
Oh.
Because that used to be the shit until T-Mac got the cover.
Well, that game, I remember the last NBA Live game I played was NBA Live 97. And the thing is, with NBA Live, it was, well, actually not 97. It was the one where they added the All-Star Weekend where you could do like the dunk contest.
That was fun.
Yeah, that was great.
Fun. You could do like jump off the ground, like kick it off.
Yeah, and I mean, it's like it just got, I don't know, it just got too stagnant. And, 2K was coming up.
Yeah, 2K was a better gameplay. But
yeah, because it was a simulation. I mean, NBA Live was like NBA Jam.
This year and last year, but you have to buy, you can buy like currency in the game. In-app, that I hate. I will not play that game just because of shit like that.
Yeah, the microtransactions.
What's
with Doomed Avengers too?
It's ruining video games.
Yeah, I mean, I know with I remember at GameStop I would see the currency for Avengers, and I'm just like, okay, you're trying to get all these suits and whatnot, and getting all these suits is just a cosmetic thing. It's not something that, like in Spider-Man, once you get the different suits, they have different powers and everything.
Yeah, but in Spider-Man, I didn't have to pay for them.
Well, that's how it should be. Like you get the crime tokens and all those other tokens, and then
incentive to play the game.
Yeah, and then you go and upgrade your suits.
Yeah, it's greed.
It is.
I mean, how many different versions? They have the Jordan edition. They have the Ultra Deluxe Jordan edition. They have the Ultra Deluxe with Pancakes edition. Like, I mean, dude, what happened to just getting the $50 game, playing it? Hopefully Jordan was in it. If he wasn't, we'd move on. I mean,
yeah. Most oftentimes he was not.
And that's what's sad about sports games and just video games. These in-app purchases, these currencies, you have to, like, there's too many of them, man. Microtransactions. It kind of ruined a lot of games, and these companies are still following that same formula.
Yeah, and I remember with Avengers, players just tuned out.
So what happened with, like, Avengers came out and it looked like it was going to be great.
And then it just fell. I mean, it was just a disappointing game. I mean, it was like, got repetitive, same environments, same enemies. It was just repetitive. And, the Spider-Man stuff, they say wasn't that great. everybody was looking forward to
I
Spider-Man.
heard that the gameplay was different than the actual Spider-Man game.
Yeah, and they said it just wasn't really
Was
all
it
that
almost
great.
like an arcade game of like the Ninja Turtles going left to right? Like,
It kind of
like
was like
4-dimensional style.
like 3-dimensional or whatever, but it kind of reminded me of Ultimate Alliance, where you
Okay.
have like all these characters you can play. But the thing is, Ultimate Alliance was way better than the Avengers, and the story mode was very good. Story mode was very good, but it's just it kept getting so repetitive and repetitive and repetitive.
Yeah. And I think they'll fix these video games eventually. Jedi Fallen Order was pretty fun, but even that after a while, it's like, man, like, I get it. It's all this. You go to a different planet, do the same thing, and you fight Vader at the end, or you don't. It is what it is. It's fun, but as long as I'm not making extra purchases within the game, we get enough of that with these iPhone apps. If you do play video games,
Yeah, microtransaction. Yeah,
microtransactions, microaggressions. Anyway, so did you stay up for She-Hulk last night?
I did not. I took a nap and kind of woke up late, so like I was up and I was like, oh,
What time was it on?
It was like 2:30, I guess, 2:00.
Okay, real quick. What is the reasoning for them to air it that late? Can't they just do it by region?
It's L.A., I believe, the Pacific Coast.
See, I thought it was like more Australia because that's a different day. That's so stupid. That's still late for LA.
Yeah, I mean, because it's like midnight or 12:30.
And it's you gotta think it's more of a kids-ish show sometimes. So it's like,
Well, not really a kid show, but it's like,
but it can't be watched by kids with no
Oh, yeah.
problem.
Oh, of course.
It's not like a kiddie show, but kids are gonna watch it.
yeah, but I mean, it's just wait till the next day. I mean, I did that, and it's worth it. I mean, well,
I'm not patient enough to wait till the evening, so I have to watch it like in the morning while I'm getting ready. So it's like, oh man, it's not the same. Then I'll watch it again later. So it's maybe that's the smart thing about it. They know they'll get double viewer.
more viewing, yeah. But yeah, it's totally worth it to watch. I mean, this episode here.
This was episode 4, right?
Yeah.
So this is the last episode. Anyone who had early access to watch these
Let
episodes,
me see. I think it was episode 4 or
I
5.
think it was 4 for sure, because this is the episode 4. Like Chris Gore, all these people who review the shows professionally got early access up till episode 4. So now, no one knows what's coming next.
Okay. Yeah. Let me see here just to be sure.
We had Wong come back.
Yeah, and he's got a best friend.
And we saw Donnie Blaze.
Yeah, that's a stage name. So it's not Johnny Blaze's brother. Yeah, so episode 4. This is not real magic.
But
and Wong is suing a former practitioner of the mystical arts for, I guess copyright infringement, in that he is kind of being dangerous with the magic.
And see, the writers of the show, their goal was to like have all these superheroes and just find hilarious situations
To put them in.
With the law
And show them in a different light.
But where is that line? Because at some point it's just like, Wong, you can just use your magic to go grab it off the guy's nightstand when he's sleeping.
But the thing is, for plot purposes, he's going to try to follow the law.
And how are they not going to address the fact they did a little bit that he broke out Abomination and he's in a courtroom not being arrested?
Yeah, I mean, I think they may, address that in future episodes.
Because like I know a lot of people will glance over that, gloss over whatever the word is, but at the same time, these movies are serious that they do make.
Yeah, and they do
so they
cover
won't,
a lot of details.
Yeah,
too.
they won't miss a detail like that in the movie. So hopefully it is addressed, but that's the one thing I thought was weird.
Yeah, I mean, and he explained like, well, I had to, prove myself in combat.
But I'm talking about this past episode. He's in court against, suing that guy or
for
Donnie Blaze's stage name, but whatever. But how is he not being under arrest from what he just did? They're like, hey, shouldn't you be in jail? And then he's just like, I gotta go.
Yeah, but he kind of explained it like, oh, I needed Abomination to prove myself. But I mean, it's kind of, I'm sure that they're going to address that.
And also, this could just be good reasoning, like good reasons for him to start to get She-Hulk and Corp, because he's trying to learn her too, and he knows he can trust her.
Yeah, and I like when, she was like, we do things by the book of Ashanti. And I'm just like,
I saw that in the original ad, and I was like, they didn't show that, so it was kind of cool that they did show it this episode. In the beginning of the episode, she was like, Wong is back, so he's always a fan favorite. So
yeah.
the funny thing is, they wrote that way before people started criticizing the show, so they knew that was coming. All the low hanging fruit haters and stuff like that. But as long as you find things that are legitimate, like, and you know what the show is, it's not, a goddamn Doctor Strange film.
Well, no, and like we said, not everything can be serious and action packed and everything. There's gonna be little pockets of the Marvel universe that we're gonna see. We're gonna see the the horror supernatural side pretty soon.
Really?
Yeah, with Blade.
Oh yeah, you talked about that.
Yeah, Blade and then possibly Ghost Rider. So I mean, the thing is, there has to be variety. Like they say, variety is the spice of life, and variety is going to be the spice of the MCU.
And then what they got, in my opinion, what they have to do better with that, the variety is beautiful, and the quantity is beautiful, but they got to distinguish what the quality of each one is going to be. It's going to be this formula. It's going to be like, because some shows,
with tone or
just like the budget or like the tone, like, because this is quality wise, it's a CW show. That doesn't mean it's a bad thing. I would watch it if it was on CW. Wasn't Daredevil on CW?
Daredevil was not.
On
it
Netflix.
Was Netflix.
Okay, Netflix. It had a different tone. But Gotham was on CW. Like
Gotham was on Fox, and then you had Flash and all of those shows,
well,
DC shows.
My point
CW.
is that they're still good shows.
Yeah.
So I think what irritates the uneducated is that they're expecting something, and then they're getting
another thing. So they think that there's a bait and switch.
And in a way, it's not so much of a bait and switch. It's a lack of clarity. If it's like, this is going to be more of a fun.
Well, but they said that about She-Hulk. Is going to be a slice of life. It's not going to be an action-packed show. They said that. They I don't know how many times
but
I
the
read.
Slice of life really.
It does apply to the show because it's like a sitcom, and they've even said it.
Did they ever say it's more of a sitcom?
They have said that they even said it's going to be lighter in tone.
Okay, all right, that's fair.
But I think with the trailers and everything, they wanted to see She-Hulk and they want to see her kind of kicking ass a little bit too.
Yeah, because the trailers are cool, but I still like.
Sometimes they can be misleading.
Yeah, and I still like how they start the shows. You do see law. They did say you're going to see a lot more law.
Yeah, law procedural.
And you told me at the beginning it's more of like an Ally McBeal-ish.
Yeah. So
it's kind of cool to see that. And I do find it ironic in this episode, she hooked up with that dude finally, one dude from the dating app.
And then he kind of treated her like shit.
When she wasn't She-Hulk.
Yeah.
So it's kind of ironic to me that all the jokes that she makes on men's behalf, deep down her character is lonely for a man.
Yeah. And, the thing is, she was a nerd in college and everything. Studied on her own.
She ain't no nerd no more.
No. And, just kind of, she was like, bookish like Bruce.
Yeah.
So, I mean, but now it's almost like that ugly duckling becoming a swan through a gamma-infused transformation.
And see, behind all that silliness, like on those dates she went on, there's a good chance that maybe one of those guys she went on a date with was one of the guys who was trying to get her skin or DNA.
Well, remember, he asked her, is her skin impenetrable even with vibranium?
She was like, do you have vibranium?
Like, no. So I kind of figured that he was...
It was strange.
Probably one of the Masters of Evil, maybe.
And knowing Marvel, that's probably going to come back.
Yeah. And then it had former WWE wrestler David Otunga was one of her dates. Said he could lift 600, deadlift 600.
That was first guy. That was hilarious. He was like,
that was
I'm not even a superhero.
Guy. Yeah. And she was like, okay, yeah.
Whatever. That was hilarious.
Jennifer Hudson's former husband.
Really?
Yeah.
Man. See, that was a funny dating montage. And you know what? For a lot of these guys who's watching these shows, it's good to give them a perspective from the female's end of like, I've never acted like that on a date as a guy,
No, I mean,
Jason, have you asked a girl if you can deadlift more than you?
No. Never asked. I just asked like if they work out. Like, where do you work out? What kind of workouts do you do?
When you go on a match app like that, those are kind of the quality guys or girls sometimes you're gonna get. Girls are not innocent on those apps either all the time, man.
We fault and mistakes on both sides.
Yeah, yeah, and I like to see that because it humanized like her a little bit, because you can have the opposite effect if you're a guy character. It's like, man, girls are all like rude, and then deep down, like the guy just wants to be in a relationship. Same thing. She's just lonely. Her character's lonely.
She is, but she kind of puts a little wall up.
Yeah, and I think,
and we all go through that.
Yeah, and I think that's great. They showed that. They actually did show it, because it showed her getting kind of hurt. Yeah. Also, we got Titania coming back.
Yeah, she is suing She-Hulk because she has trademarked the She-Hulk name.
So in the comics, they rumbled down a little bit, but can she stand up next to She-Hulk?
She can. I mean, you saw what she did to the courtroom. So,
but She-Hulk just knocked her ass out.
Yeah, I mean, when you have to understand, when She-Hulk gets angry, she gets stronger. So she's like Hulk.
Yeah.
You know, when she's calm, I mean, she's still strong, but not as strong as when she's just raging.
Yeah, it's kind of funny in that episode. The dad was like setting up security. She's like, "Dad, it's okay. I'm a Hulk."
Yeah, because like, you know, he was like, "Yeah, you know, what if those guys come back? Well, she's just gonna Hulk up and beat their asses."
Seriously, and they kind of even commented on the budgets. Like, you know, her paralegal was like, "We got to get you another pair of clothes." She's like, "This is the only thing that fits a She-Hulk."
Yeah,
so they make light of everything they're dealing with.
And one thing I do love about the show, it never overstays its welcome.
Yeah, and I kind of I'm like, no more.
Yeah, and it's like you want to see more. I would say if like some of the episodes were like 40 minutes, you know, long, maybe like 10 more minutes long, but you know what? It's like this. I'm happy with what we get. I'm happy that, you know, it knows
it's finally different than these other shows too.
And everybody's saying, oh, well, you know, the Phase 4 Marvel is low quality. I'm like, look, they're not going to repeat the Infinity Saga. It's going to be, the lead up is probably going to be different. You're going to have a different villain. You're going to have different characters. You need that. You need to cycle in new characters and filter out the old ones. That's just how it's going to have to be.
Mean, unless you want to just keep recasting Iron Man and stuff, or keep like that.
You know, and recycling the same storylines.
And that's the thing with DC. They are not exploring other characters in that universe.
Well, they will be, because I mean they did Peacemaker.
But
and they're doing Blue Beetle.
But now John Cena, I mean, he's not a spring chicken necessarily.
Yeah, he's 45.
And that's kind of like that Aquaman, Ben Affleck.
And I heard they're coming back, actually.
Peacemaker?
Well, Peacemaker, I think, is coming back.
Hell yeah.
Yeah, it's coming back, but they say Henry Cavill and Ben Affleck will be back.
I mean, dude.
I've been hearing.
Where was this news like 4 years ago? Because they've wasted another 4 years.
Yeah, they pissed away. But it's a lot of turmoil in WB. You know, they're like we've come to the conclusion. There's hardly any leadership now. There is, because they're trying to make sense of where to go. Because the thing is, the DC extended universe is a muddled mess. Because there is no cohesive narrative.
Yeah, no
real plan for where it's going.
And you know what's crazy? We still love a lot of their films.
Oh yeah, you know the thing is, I loved Suicide Squad, not the one that James Gunn did.
Yeah, no. I mean even that one had some good parts. I mean, as fans, like we're waiting, like we have more leeway room. I feel like with DC than Marvel.
Well, because Marvel is just they just cranking out hits. They're giving us our greatest hits of films. We can enjoy all these films for the most part. With DC. Shazam, Aquaman, Wonder Woman, Suicide Squad, Peacemaker.
And the thing with like Aquaman, Henry Cavill, Superman, even Ben Affleck, and Gal Gadot, that's like having LeBron James in his prime as Superman. You gotta use this guy.
You gotta take advantage.
Who cares if like you think he's gonna be 40 or something? Like, dude, he is a fucking the guy who was made to play this role. Ben Affleck is made to play that role. And if you don't like it, you don't have to like his character. I mean, Wonder Woman is probably one of my favorite female characters. Aquaman, he made that character his own.
Yeah.
He redefined what Aquaman should be.
Yeah,
and he
because
actually
Aquaman was a joke in like the 80s. Oh, this is a guy who talks to fish.
even Family Guy made fun of it.
Yeah, and then Grant Morrison made him more of a badass in his 96 to 97 run of Justice
And then you
League.
find the perfect actor like you did with Superman, and you find the perfect actor with Aquaman, and you're just wasting time.
Yeah. Well, it's just wasting time and not knowing what to do. No clear plan.
Oh man, Shazam. Apparently they're not delaying it anymore, or what?
Well, they delayed it till next year. I think it's supposed to come out this year. And
So reshoots.
Aquaman, because I think they had to do reshoots for Aquaman because I think unfortunately Michael Keaton is out, and now it's going to be Ben Affleck.
That's okay with me.
I liked Affleck's Batman.
I mean, hopefully Keaton will play like a little, Stan Lee type role. Like, hey, what are you guys doing? And just like walks by. That'd be cool. But you got to have a Batman. You got to stick to it. And
just have him be the Batman from Batman Beyond.
Yeah, I mean, maybe they didn't want a show with Batgirl or a quality movie. Maybe it look a lot like She-Hulk quality. And
Yeah, I mean, we'll never know.
Yeah, I think one day we will.
Yeah, of course, but just not now.
No.
Yeah. I'm still pissed off about that. I mean, I think they should have just gone and released it. I mean,
is it true there's reshoots for Wakanda Forever?
Well, every film has reshoots.
I just heard this today.
Okay. I haven't heard anything about that. So every film, I think, goes through reshoots.
Obviously. It's just
a natural part of filmmaking.
I think in this case, let's think about why let's just speculate without any real information on it. In my opinion, maybe there's such a delay on the visual effects front, and so they're like, hey, let's adjust here, let's adjust there, let's make it a little more practical. And then maybe they didn't have a good reception on who the new Black Panther was. Just speculation.
Well, we don't even know.
I still think is it Shuri?
Yeah.
I still think she will wear the Black Panther, but she'll ultimately be the smartest. Like she's the smartest one in the universe, basically. So she'll be that role. And John Campea, even 4 years ago, said, even in the comics, I know they showed her as the Black Panther, but in this storyline, he says it doesn't make sense. Do you agree with that?
I think it should be her, either because Okoye is going to be leading the Dora Milaje. So it looks like it's going to be Shuri, and then they're talking about bringing back Killmonger. I haven't heard anything.
I would
about
love that, but at the same time, how does that make sense?
Yeah, because I thought did he die? He died at the end, right?
And the theory is if they put him in the water, like he said, what's the guy's name from Atlantis, the main character in Wakanda Forever, Nordo?
Which one? The big guy or M'Baku?
Not M'Baku, the guy who's underwater.
Namor?
Namor. So Namor finds Killmonger's body and brings him back to life. And that's one theory from Screen Crush. Also, he could be stuck in that plane.
The astral plane?
Is that?
Oh, you mean the plane like in Black Panther that we've seen?
Yeah, so he's not completely dead yet. That'd be a stretch as well.
Kind of like a Valhalla.
Maybe.
Well, you know what? It's fun to speculate. November is when the movie comes out.
And you know what's good about that? No delay.
Yeah.
No delay.
You know why? There's leadership. There's a clear plan. And D23 is this weekend.
All right, so give us a little outro on leadership with DC and what you expect to see from D23.
Well, I mean, I expect that we're going to learn more about the phases of Marvel. Deadpool 3, I think, is going to be one. Fantastic Four, damn sure.
Deadpool going to be in She-Hulk, you think?
No, I don't think so. But Deadpool 3, we're going to get some info on the movie. Possibly a trailer. I know we're probably going to get a video trailer that they've made.
Where is it?
What?
D23.
I think it's in Orlando or Anaheim.
Okay.
I think my friend Jeffrey might even be going to it.
Epstein? No, I'm kidding.
Fuck you. But
that was good.
Caught me off guard. With that.
Because a lot of people don't know D23 and they're familiar with it, but it sounds badass.
Yeah,
Because you told me in Comic-Con they probably held a lot of the announcements back. You think
Yeah,
we'll
they
get
did.
another Wakanda
They did.
update or
possibly. We're gonna get a lot of the Disney Plus updates too. A lot of Star Wars stuff.
a couple movies coming from Star Wars, right?
Yeah, there's Cassie's Andor. He's gonna get his own series.
Right.
There's a Star Wars Acolyte,
Okay.
and so.
Do they ever announce video games?
I think they do.
Okay.
I know that the Jedi Fallen Order sequel is coming from EA.
I think we'll probably get the Marvels trailer.
Yeah, we will get a Marvel trailer. Fantastic Four will be one that we get. We're gonna probably announce the cast of Fantastic Four.
Any rumors on who the cast is? I heard
Penn Badgley for Mr. Fantastic. Let me see, for Sue Storm, they said Jodie Comer from what do you call that? Free Guy and Killing Eve. And let me see.
Any rumors on Doctor Doom?
I've heard dude from Top Gun, Glenn
Miles
Powell.
Miles Teller. That'd be hilarious.
Yeah, Glenn Powell was would.
You think it would work?
I think it probably would.
Cool.
Don't know who Johnny Storm or the Thing could be.
In secret,
I would love to see what's his name? Seth Rogen as Ben Grimm.
What is Green Hornet Marvel? Is that its own entity?
No, it's his own entity. That one was where Bruce Lee got to start.
Yeah, I know.
Green Hornet.
They even referenced it in Once Upon a Time in Hollywood.
Yeah, and so they that one was like I think it was based off a comic book, and they paired it with Batman, and they even appeared on Batman.
Yeah, and you know, the thing with Bruce Lee is that he couldn't lose a fight because Kato was the fighter.
Yeah.
So Batman and Robin, and he didn't consider himself the sidekick to the Green Hornet.
Yeah, he
as
considered
Robin
himself
did.
a star. Yeah.
Yeah,
and rightfully so.
And Bruce Lee, I mean, same thing can be said about actors today. Dwayne "The Rock" Johnson, Jason Statham, in their contracts. I don't think they can lose a fight.
They'll probably lose one. That's it.
Yeah, it has to be appropriate within the story. It's like maybe not lose, but like I'm down on my knees.
Yeah,
like, they come
kind of
back.
like kind of like going back and forth, or like an even fight.
So leadership at D23. You guys see Kevin Feige? He's gonna be there, maybe, or is it
hell yeah,
Kathleen Kennedy?
Yep, she will be there.
It's gonna be a big star turnout.
Oh yeah,
you think you and McGregor, anyone like that?
Possibly. I mean, but I think Ryan Reynolds is gonna be there.
You think he'll be undercover?
Possibly.
Like Bryan Cranston was at Comic-Con.
Oh yeah, yeah.
That was.
And you know what? I saw him that year.
Did you not think anything of it?
I didn't really think anything of it, and then I was looking at the hands.
You recognize the hands,
and it's like, well, the thing is, if you can't see him, I'm just like, could that be? And then I was looking at him like, that probably is, but there was, so many people around this guy.
So they kind of already. Oh, it was one of those things that people knew.
Well, not that they knew, but.
Oh my God, you look like him.
Yeah, something like that. And they're just like, people just taking pictures with, cosplayers. And then we saw Dean Norris,
who's Dean Norris?
He played Hank, his brother-in-law.
Okay. Who's the younger guy on that show?
Which one? Oh, Jesse Pinkman. What's his name? Aaron Paul.
Yeah. What do you think about him as an actor? Did you see that video of him like during the pandemic? It's like, stop the bullying. It's like,
oh, that's because that was
what are these actors?
Asian hate.
I get the age, like you don't do shit like that, but these actors get bored, huh?
Possibly, and then there's causes they care about,
I know, but when you see shit like that, it's like, are you not acting? I get it, but at the same time, you gotta laugh at yourself.
Oh yeah. But actually, there's something else we got to talk about too.
What's that?
Rounding back to baseball.
What's that?
On this day, in 1998. September 8th, Mark McGwire broke Roger Maris's single-season home run record. And that was such a monumental thing.
Do you remember where you were?
Oh, yeah. I was watching it in my room. I was in my senior year of high school, and it was something
magical.
You did not want to miss. You did not want to miss this moment because it's a once-in-a-lifetime deal. Well, when we saw Barry Bonds, break it, back in 2007, I believe.
But this was with Sosa, right?
He and Sosa. Mark McGwire did it first, and Sosa did it second.
Was that the same year him and Sosa were going back and forth?
Yeah, 98. Yeah,
dude. So what the energy back then?
Yeah, and see that brought baseball back because wherever Mark McGwire and Sammy Sosa went, it was sold out.
And I mean, looking back on that footage, McGwire was a man-child with those juiced steroids. I mean, he was huge. But
and see, going into that,
did you think he was juicing?
Oh fuck yeah!
So people knew. They just didn't give a fuck.
But the thing is, Bud Selig, took steroids out of the game, and then when home runs were down across the league, people weren't hitting as many home runs. Then, I guess around 95, he started letting steroids back into the game. And plus, you're coming off the strike-shortened season of 1994. And so many fans and, sports pundits, they were just like, oh, they're a bunch of overgrown crybabies. They make millions of dollars. They won't get any more of my money. And the attendance was horrible. I remember...
Was there something else behind that though?
Well, it's always about money.
Was it just were there some bad apples as players being greedy or owners being greedy?
It's always on both sides. Okay. One side doesn't want to give to the other.
Okay.
One side doesn't want to.
It sucks when the fans have to pay for that.
Yeah, and it's like, guys, come on. And so
this whole it's 20 years ago today.
It's about 14. Let's see, 24.
Man,
this is 22. Yeah, 24 years.
Do you think we'll ever see anything not like that, or just that energy again, like during the regular season, something to look forward to?
Well, I mean, Aaron Judge has 56 home runs, so he
could. Holy shit!
Yeah, I mean, so he possibly could. I mean, and Albert Pujols, he's about 5 or 6 away from home run number 700.
If he doesn't come back next year, it'll be a shame if he doesn't get it.
It will be. I mean, it would suck.
He should come back, retire once he gets it.
It would suck if he sits at 699 at the end of this season.
I would just come back if I was him and just, become a coach too at the same time.
Like a hitting coach.
Yeah.
I think Michael Brantley should do that too.
Hell yeah. Just kind of like in soccer, soccer players be players coaches. They'll play sometimes, but coach most of the time.
Yeah.
You think, is there a special roster spot they could ever create for that?
Well, I mean, what they're going to do.
Baseball is always willing to change.
Well, with baseball, he could just, play until he gets the 700, and then just go and retire and then open up a spot for somebody else.
Oh, that's the thing. There is always someone else trying to come up.
Yep. Yeah, but that home run race was, oh, boy.
I think in a couple of years, Jordan will be close to getting 60, 65.
Maybe if he stays healthy. Yeah,
Jinx, you owe me a home run.
Yeah. that hand has been bothering him.
And that knee, too. Didn't he have surgery?
Yeah, he had surgery on both knees, but the knees haven't been bothering him as much as the hand.
And knees in baseball aren't as big a deal as they are in basketball, because you're not jumping.
Yeah, and you're not doing as much running, because in baseball, you're kind of standing there.
He's got to watch his weight, though.
Well, he's 225.
He looks slimmer.
He
has looked slimmer.
He's very top heavy. If you look at his legs, they kind of look skinny.
I know, but especially seeing him in those Navy jerseys, he had leaned up a little. I noticed.
Okay, good.
Because he looks like the type of player that could put the weight on like Big Papi.
Oh yeah, but see, Big Papi didn't have to run as much because that guy was just a power hitter. He could just hit.
Big Papi reminds me of like Serrano, just not really the player, but just like from Major League. It's like eating a whole chicken before a game, Pop.
Oh, yeah, going somewhere, probably drinking beer and getting a burger.
Dude, I love eating a nice whole chicken grilled, like not like deep fried, but just like Mexican spices, salt. Oh, dude.
You ever had a fried turkey?
Oh, I have.
You ever had a fried Cajun turkey?
I've had it.
Oh, dude.
You have to have it fresh. You have to have it fresh.
Oh, yeah. I remember I had one for Thanksgiving. Oh, boy.
Did they make it on the spot?
Well, they actually had the little equipment,
good.
Deep fried.
That's the way to do it.
Cajun spices.
Because people who get it and then bring it from the restaurant, it dries out. I mean, it's still dank, but it's just like just like red meat. You got to have it fresh. And
very much so.
Last thing on the Astros, you think will be at least? You think Verlander's going to be fresh for this playoffs?
I think so.
I think maybe he could be more resting, even though he does have a calf problem. But
you have to.
And
rest.
Jordan's gotten some rest. I think everyone's gonna be fresh. Bregman's playing well.
Yeah, had a great August.
He really did. He really did. From last year,
ever since he became a father.
Oh,
he was on
I
the
didn't even know
upswing.
that. Congrats, boy or girl? Do you know?
Boy, Knox, I believe is his name.
Good for the Bregman family, man. Astros. Astros are a Houstonian. If you're a Houston Astro, Rocket, or Texan, you're Houstonian for life in the hearts of all the Houstonians. I think that's why we're one of the most underrated sports cities in the world.
Yeah, I mean, we continually root for our guys, no matter how many times they break our hearts.
Yeah, I mean, dude, it's not like we're gonna Celtic pride a player from an opposing team and take them. We're not gonna take Steph Curry captive like.
Oh, I remember that movie.
Great fucking film.
Funny as fuck, dude.
Dude, but we're gonna ride or die. Even if we find out, the Maverick Rockets playoff series with T-Mac and Yao was basically a little rigged. We know what we were. We know what that team did for our morale during that year. We were happy going to work, school. Everyone was happy. The next year when T-Mac and them were hurt, it was like, man, I don't want to go to school. I don't want to go to work. This is depressing.
Yeah.
So we are a city that kind of lives and dies by the energy. If you are a sports fan, at least, by the energy of the team. When the Texans were good with Schaub and Johnson, it was fun waking up at 6, listening to that Sports 610 radio.
Or even just, watching the highlights, man, like right after the game on ESPN.
And people were actually giving the Texans love back then. Until Skip Bayless called it how it was, and he was like, I just don't believe in Matt Schaub. And I was like, I don't know about this guy. He doesn't watch our team. And then next thing you know, Matt Schaub choked.
Oh, dude, the pick six is...
I think he had a moment where after that hit and Liz Frank injury the previous year, he just never could come back.
No. And I remember when he was throwing those pick sixes, fans actually showed up at his house.
That's fucking hilarious.
Yeah, it's also fucking dangerous and creepy too, dude. Showing up at the.
What are you gonna do when you should? Hey, don't do that. I mean, dude, the guy. What did you expect from Matt Schaub? It's not like he showed you anything in Atlanta where it's like, man, this guy's the next Manning. He came, was the system quarterback, played fucking well, better than any other I think system quarterback has ever played. If you think about it. I mean, they tried to do the same thing with Brock Osweiler in Denver. It did not work out.
Well, and also he's 6'8". The thing is, those long arms, you can always tell, with those long arms, you can kind of tell, like, where he's going to throw the ball.
Who, Schaub or Brock?
Brock. Brock was 6'8", yeah.
I just don't think he could run that.
He couldn't run that well, and I just didn't think he was a great quarterback.
I think he got as far as he did because he had that quarterback built in high school and shit, and he was a white guy, and he had the look of a quarterback.
Yeah.
Calling it how it is,
You can say that for so many quarterbacks.
But now, but now teams are smart. They're going with, like, the more athletic dude.
Yeah, I mean, and they're going, but you still have to be a passer.
Yeah, and that's exactly, because that's a finite amount of time. Yeah, you can run, but not everyone. Who's the quarterback for the Ravens?
Oh, Lamar Jackson?
Not everyone's going to be him.
No.
And even he has to get better at some parts of his
and that's what Michael Vick got better at passing. Because remember, he was a running quarterback.
Oh, yeah.
And
when he was with Philly, he got better.
Yeah, and he had to. Like Vince Young did not want to
He didn't even look like he worked out in the offseason.
Exactly. He just
kind of fat.
He just kind of, went off what he did, at Texas. Yeah.
You know what I did at UT?
I won him a championship in the final seconds.
I didn't even know who you were until that last play. I didn't watch college football.
Yeah, I mean, I remember him
Matt Leinart
last year. I remember him my last year. I remember Leinart because, USC, Reggie Bush,
Reggie Bush had a good, decent career.
Yeah, not the one that he could have had because we were supposed to get him.
Oh, man. You know what's a good documentary on Netflix to watch is that Manti Te'o documentary on the catfish. Dude, it makes you feel for the dude. He worked really hard, man. And he's a good person. I didn't know this about him, and it's scary how 10 years ago people didn't know what the hell being catfished was. So imagine being in that position in college football, being number one at, like, your defensive, like, stature. Like, he almost won the Heisman that second time.
Yeah.
So, and then being embarrassed like that. I mean, dude, he was just a kid, and I think he's around my age. So it's like you're still traumatized from shit like that, and he played on broken feet. So he could have had a better career, but dude, I think anyone who hasn't watched that Netflix documentary on Manti Te'o Part 1 and 2 and the Tim Donaghy one, it's the same people, and they have one on And One mixtape. You gotta, dude, there's some good stories there. Check those out. By the way, people, Jason has Madden at 23. He's never opening it.
Hell no, I'm not opening it. It's a collector's item. Got
Why?
John Madden
John
on the
Madden
cover.
on the cover, baby.
So I tell you what, get your copies, get your new copies, because I tell you what, once it's gone, it's probably not going to be another Madden cover.
Yes, sir. Hey, ladies and gentlemen, thank you for tuning in to Common Construct. Jason, tell them what it is.
Yeah. All right. If you liked what you heard, like what you saw, subscribe to us on Instagram, Facebook, Twitter, and YouTube.